this one. Just look. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Christy and I'm making Angel Biscuits today, guys. Oh, these are so delicious and they are so light and fluffy that they can just float right up to heaven. What makes them so light and fluffy is they have 3 leavening agents: baking soda, baking powder, and yeast. So they're kind of a mix between a dinner roll and a biscuit. So you get the best of both worlds. They are just so yummy. Now I've got all my ingredients here on my counter. I'm just going to go over them with you as I make them, but we've got to get started because it's time to get cooking. So to a large bowl, I'm going to add 2 1/4 teaspoons of a dry active instant yeast. So 2 1/4 teaspoons. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of warm water. You don't want it to be hot, just warm. So the recipe calls for 2 cups of buttermilk, but I never keep buttermilk. It's just so easy to make. All you need to do is add a teaspoon of vinegar to your milk. All right, so I'm going to pour it into my yeast. Now this is warmed. It's not cold, it is warm. I put it in the microwave for about a minute and stirred it, so it's just warmed a little. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for about 5 minutes. All right, so I have 5 cups of all-purpose flour, and to that I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I'm just going to give this a whisk. Next I have 1 cup of shortening, and I'm using a butter flavored shortening, and I'm just going to work this into the flour. Now you can use a pastry cutter if you want, or you can just use a fork, or you can even use your fingers, however you want to do it. And I'm just going to use my fork here, just cutting it into that flour mixture. We want it to have like fine crumbs. Now if you want to use butter, you can use butter. I am just following the recipe that I've had for years, and it calls for shortening. All right, so my yeast is ready, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the flour mixture to my yeast mixture, and I'm just going to begin to mix this together. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle some flour down onto my counter, and I'm going to fold this dough over, not really kneading it, but just kind of folding it. I'm going to sprinkle some flour on top. Sprinkle some on my hands. All right. I'm just going to kind of fold it over, because we want these to be light, fluffy, layered, like you would regular biscuits. So now I'm going to take a rolling pin and I'm just going to roll them out. All right, and that looks good. I'm almost out of flour, guys. Scraping the bottom of my container here, but I'm going to put some flour down on my counter because I'm going to take a cup. Now, you can use a biscuit cutter, but you can also use just things that you have in your house, like a glass, and that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to put my glass in some flour first and then just cut my biscuits out. But when you cut biscuits, you don't want to twist. You want to go straight down. And then you want to take your biscuits. Now I have a baking tray here that I've lined with parchment paper, but you could also, if you have a large cast iron skillet, you could put these in a cast iron skillet, but you want them to be touching when you place them onto your tray. All right, so I've got all my biscuits cut out. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to cover them, and I'm going to place them on top of my stove and let them rise for about 30 minutes. All right, guys, it's been 30 minutes and the Angel Biscuits have risen, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush some melted butter over the top. Now I'm going to bake them in a 400-degree oven for 12 to 15 minutes. All right, guys, the biscuits are all done, and just look at them. They are beautiful. So now I want to show you just how light and fluffy these biscuits are. Go with this one. Just look. All right. Oh my goodness. And of course I had to spread some of my strawberry freezer jam, which is the best ever. These biscuits are definitely the best of both worlds. They are flaky, buttery like a biscuit, but they have the rise and the yeast that makes them taste like a dinner roll all at the same time. They're just so fabulous. All right, guys, well, thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and I will see you soon with more delicious recipes.